Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Thursday's video. Not much has really happened in regards to side quests and other stuff being announced, but do bear in mind stuff is coming, like a major amount of content will be coming out in the next week or so. Look out for Marvel Contest of Champions news on Friday for more clarification. But as you know, the title and the thumbnail don't deceive you, because we are going to be looking at the very lovely Silver Surfer, which unfortunately I didn't get in yesterday's video. And the thing is, I didn't really lack much energy, and I should have been more grateful for the fact of what I pulled from that video. And obviously reading through the comments, it's self-evident that maybe I should just be like a bit more kind of positive. My apologies guys, bit of an off day, but now I'm back on it, so let's get this through. Just before getting into the video, I think it's very important, with a lot of changing things and the complexity and technicality that we have with MCOC nowadays, it's always important to see what the developers say, and as well information that is on the spotlight, because it's going to be a little bit more than me, and as well at the same time there's going to be questions asked that I think are very important to different players at different levels of progression. So first of all, I'm understanding the weaknesses of the champion, nullifying, as we've seen in the video that I posted yesterday, but also loads of people like do different things like nullifying, fate seals, staggers. Yeah, there's options. Also, something that I missed out in the video, but something that I've seen lurking around is people using Archangel. Shout out to Flak Diesel, because I saw that on Instagram, on the gram, he was utilizing that and was pretty much one-shotting with a 5-star version. I may try that with a 4-star version and just see what happens. But you know, if any case with that, when you get him low, it's just try and heavy attack, and then I threw in an L1 with the stun, but stun-based champions could work out in your favor as well. It's up to you who you take against that one. Moving down now to using things like the power cosmic buff, and as well like the max of each of the rotating buffs. So developer note is that the power cosmic buff is a buff that will be present almost all the fight, while the buff itself has no effect. It does count as a unique buff for Silver Surfer's other abilities. Okay, that's helpful. I know that something off of the L2 is all about unique buffs. And then we go into rotating buffs. The developer says the key to playing Silver Surfer will be mastering when to activate these buffs. As long as the rotating buff isn't already active, Silver Surfer will refresh the duration of every active buff. This includes the vigilance of unblockable buffs and his special attacks, and even the phase from heavy attacks. Obviously, this is where you look to maximize damage, build up those different types of buffs as quickly as possible, and hopefully then build up specials. I like pushing to an SP3, or that's what I liked, because then we were able to kind of put some more, I think there's more kind of elements of potency, which we'll have a look at in a moment. And then charging a heavy attack, developer knows this ability will be most reliable way for Silver Surfer to consume his power cosmic buff and create his available rotating buff. Players should charge a heavy attack and cancel the charging animation with a special attack to maximize the active buffs. So I think Colossus does something similar in principle, and that's how we kind of get the amazing damage output with that champion. Moving back into game, and I know I've seen like a few people kind of mention that is he very much, you need to have him awakened, you need a load of signatures. To a degree, yes. Look, if you want potency of all those buffs to increase, like you want to do a bit more damage, you want to do get more power quickly, those kind of things, and yeah, it does kind of pinpoint to that. I don't think it's necessarily a huge issue, but it's a case of like, I would personally like to get the champion, pump in all those signatures, and then we'll go, hey, well, we're good to go. Either way, the fact is, it's an effective champion for what it needs to do. There's a confusing thing. So as it says there, Silver Surfer takes minus 100% damage from Cold Snap, Incinerate, and Shock debuffs. Each stack of these debuffs count as a unique buff for any of Silver Surfer's abilities. So you're kind of thinking like, well, should you debuff him? But that was a really good question that was put up. Kabam did respond to it. If I can find it. Okay, here it is. So Will-O-Wisp, obviously big contributor to the forum. I see his stuff asking a few times. So if I'm reading this correctly, it means that we will still take damage from those. He would still take damage from these buffs if they are enhanced by ability or nodes, if I'm correct. And the response is, if the damage from those debuffs is increased past their normal 100% damage, he will take some damage from them. So he's not kind of impervious to damage. He will take some sort of damage. Also the Herald thing, that was a question, because we've still got a question mark, which, let's face it, we're not getting Galactus. It's just not going to happen. I think it was talked about several times, but I just is not something I think we're ever gonna have. There's also some more questions as well. His signature ability would affect all buffs, including any he gains from nodes or synergies. So that's as well, like talking about Heimdall. Does this mean regeneration from Heimdall's Warriors of Asgard would regen an additional 50%, 7.5% health if at signature to 200? And his signature ability would affect all buffs, including any of those gains from nodes or synergies. So that's pretty impressive to know that through the Heimdall synergy, he can actually gain more from those. And I did actually experiment. I think I had more fun using the synergy with Heimdall in than I did with the Cosmic Supremacy synergy, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. I think my biggest problem experimenting with this champion was time. If I'm not using Cosmic Supremacy, then the length of time trying to keep buffs on is somewhat an issue based on how they expire. And yeah, you could say like, okay, I need to get to those special attacks in order to reapply those buffs, but you know, the fact is it doesn't really shine any kind of focus side of things. Like I have to focus a lot of the time on like what's happening with the fight, but also at the same time, like when is the right time to put in a special attack, and just kind of sometimes I kind of feel I'm kind of overloading myself. But you know, as we kind of continue on with the game and how it gets more complex, sometimes thinking about these things is not great. Moving back into the game and timing. Timing is everything. You have to clock watch a lot. And with the Cosmic Supremacy synergy, but there are options. Obviously, Cosmic Power is one. Increase the buff duration by plus 25%. I had to really kind of think about what team is best around him. Not from a point of like exhibition, which we're doing in this video to showcase, but also like day to day. Because I'm not going to take the Heimdall synergy. I'm not going to take the Cosmic Supremacy synergy, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's this here. By adding Ronan to your team, you're able to increase the duration of all Fury's precision, cruelty, and armor buffs by plus 30%, which is kind of annoying for the power side of things. If the power was in there, that would, I think, really would make a different kind of team. However, though, like you can double up on this. Like I used a 3-star version and a 4-star version. You can use different versions. There's 6s. There's, I think, a 5-star version out there. So there are different options to use. However, though, let's be real. You're not going to take this into a quest, are you? And the fact is, it doesn't really kind of add much more to that team. So, and it did do good. It did do good. It increased the amount of armor and fury as we were expecting. But at the same time, I don't really kind of resonate much with it, and it was all about kind of thinking, right, well, if I'm practically taking Silver Surfer into any kind of questing type thing, whether or not it be Act 6 or whether or not it be any uncollected or any other thing that I might be doing, I need to create a team around this. And I think Beardo would be helpful for this type of aspect of increasing duration of those buffs. One thing I did test is the regeneration side of things to Silver Surfer, and I thought that I was meant to be seeing some like huge numbers, but it wasn't that huge. I think it was like 2,700 is what I was seeing. And like, I don't know if it's meant to be, or get the idea from the forums that it's meant to see a huge amount of increase in potency, but I don't know, I don't think that's a huge amount. In any case, for me, it's not the be-all and end-all whether or not this regeneration synergy works, and I couldn't really get some kind of solid numbers to kind of pinpoint whether or not it was affecting all buffs as opposed to it being a regeneration type thing. Because there's like there's a difference between the way I think this is set up, especially with a few people conflicting on the idea whether or not this type of aspect of this regeneration is a buff or is it an effect, or is it a case, it's not, obviously it's not a passive based effect, but whether or not this is something that is not a buff but is a buff. And look, if we go down this route, it just puts too much complexity and too much technicality to this game, and I just feel I need to kind of go and just have like a Pringle sandwich or something just to kind of bring down my level of kind of looking into the complexity. In any case, I feel this champion is probably best suited to be 565, and the damage output is going to be as applicably good when it comes to any kind of champion that's 565, but this one more so. And that's kind of around like, you know, damage output side of things, but not to mention the fact that he can be an asset for offensive based grinding and especially questing as well. The passive is pretty cool, especially with each hit deals a burst of 150.38 energy damage for each unique buff. This scales with base attack only. Obviously very effective if you've got any kind of like if you've got dexterity on, if you're using a Heimdall synergy, or maybe synergy that kind of applies something like a Fury, like the Heimdall synergy. But there are going to be a few kind of like puts put together like synergies you could work around. It doesn't have to be always about Heimdall. And there is something I quite like with the SP3 as well. So again, an absolute buff, increasing all the potency of Silver Surfer's Fury, armor and precision buffs by 25% for 24 seconds. Then re-trigger each of Silver Surfer's active rotating buffs. So it's like, have all those buffs up, do an SP3. Each aptitude buff on Silver Surfer also increases the potency of his power rate buff. So it's a case of like, it does feel somewhat hard work to kind of build that up. But once it's there, it does mean that the damage output is really good and solid to put the damage in. But also like the SP2, I like doing a combination of like a bit up to 3 buffs, do an SP3, and then do an SP2 after that. And obviously you don't have to do that. You may think that there's a completely different way to play the champion. But I like the way, obviously you've got those buffs on, you've got the potency increase, and then it's a case of you can then do with Silver Surfers increase the potency of any burst of energy or physical damage by 180% for the duration of this special attack, which obviously we saw. As he's doing that rotating kind of like surfer thing, it's just like so much energy based damage is pinging up left, right and center. And there's some good crits. I'm not going to say it's like one burst of one big crit number, big yellow numbers, but there's sufficient yellow numbers occasionally when you come to see that SP2 in motion. And even better if at least 3 unique buffs are active when launching the special attack. Silver Surfer creates an unblockable buff for 4 seconds. If you can keep the consistency of that unblockable, and look, going up against the champion in Uncollected this month definitely showcases that. So yeah, a real fun champion. Am I going to say like it's insane damage? To a degree, but you have to work hard to get it. And I think a lot of the champions that have been released in the last couple of months have been a case of you've had to work hard to get the damage output out of it. But there is definite utility in some of them. But this one, not entirely certain. There are going to be some special things to look out for. And that is, if I read this rightly on the SP1, if at least 3 unique buffs are active when launching the special attack, gain a vigilance buff, allowing all attacks to bypass miss for 12 seconds. So that's really handy against some that are annoying, get that kind of miss type thing. I'm just trying to think of some examples quickly. Darkhawk, I think, has got miss. I think that obviously Ghost has got miss. We've got Hood that's got miss. I think there's a few other ones as well. If I'm reading that correctly, then that's counters for that. But if I've read that wrong or understand it differently, then it's something completely different. But yeah, final thoughts on Silver Surfer. I really enjoy this character. I enjoy playing with him. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have him for a long time. I want to try out some synergy stuff with him as well to see if he does any kind of improvements to certain champions like Mysterio. I think that may be a good reason for me to kind of do a video with Mysterio. Just got him as a 5-star yesterday, and also the 4-star version of Silver Surfer. I may make that video next week sometime. I'm just going to see how that benefits, because, you know, that does add something. Look, Mysterio's advantage against Spider-Verse champions extends to all hero champions, and I need to kind of experiment with that more. But yeah, very enjoyable champion. Interested with the Herald synergy as well, and which champion that is going to be. But yeah, I'll talk about this in another video. But yeah, that's been my CCP review. This champion will be removed from my account, I think, at some point this week. So yeah, thanks very much for watching this. Check out some other content, which should be coming up now. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.